Welcome everyone to Everyday Passions. It's the show where my guests get to show and share with us one of their passions and how they've used that passion to influence or impact the lives of others. And my special guest today is Dr. LaWanna Parker. Welcome, Dr. Parker. I'm so very happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you. And it is such a pleasure to be here on your show. I've been looking forward to this all week long.
Excellent. I love it when we have amazing guests and especially guests that I get to know personally. So we have that extra interaction. We're not just meeting for the first time or even the second time. And you're someone that I know pretty well. And for those of you who are watching live or those who you'll be watching on the replay or listening to the audio, this is an amazing lady who has a lot to share. And I'll go ahead right now and tell you just a little bit more about her. So Dr. LaWanna Jean Parker is an Amazon International award-winning author, and she's an inspirational speaker who helps her community to create legacy through journaling. I know a number of you are saying, journaling? Yes, journaling. LaWanna's achievements include being Woman of the Year, Area Speech Contest winner, international winner in a short story anthology, and more. So today, we are going to be focusing on her passion for journaling. But now, LaWanna, let's get started. And I already know that the passion is on journaling. So just tell us a little bit more about this. Give us kind of like a foundation, please. Even before you tell us how you got into that, just tell us a little bit more about the whole process of journaling and its relevance to business persons.
Well, thank you. And thank your guests for taking their time to spend with us. What I do is I try to guide you and equip mainly baby boomers, but it's open to anyone. But I say baby boomers because we're at that stage where we're wondering what's next. I've raised my kids, got grandkids, but I still want something to do and I don't know what to do. So I use journaling as a way to help them grow their creativity, gain more confidence and their writing skills. We Well, one of the things we do is to show you how to turn your negativities, your health issues and stress from, as I like to say, pain to passion. So that you can heal yourself, preserve memories, share the pearls of wisdom, and leave a legacy for your family. And many of you who are interested in writing books, this is a fabulous way to get started.
Wonderful. Now, when we spoke before, you mentioned that phrase you just used about leave a legacy for your family. So I'm going to come back to that. But before that, I want to make sure that our audience noted that you mentioned that journaling can help us with our creativity. As entrepreneurs, we are naturally creative because we're always having to think about what next. What am I going to do next? However, what I'm hearing from LaWanna is that by journaling, you're more strategic. And instead of being scattered all over the place, you're able to channel your creativity in a way that's going to create a legacy or in a way that's going to empower you to enhance your business skills. And you also mentioned, LaWanna, that journaling helps you, I don't know, I'm getting tongue-tied today, but journaling helps you to gain confidence. And that is something as business owners, we all want and need to be more confident because when we show up confidently, we're able to inspire those who we influence in some way or the other. So share with us, please, was there an incident or what sort of created that awareness that this was something that you truly wanted to do so that you were able to develop this passion for journaling?
Well, it actually kind of acted backwards for me. Like most people, I've had my moments in time, but this one particular time, I was so sad, and it just seemed like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. And I'm the kind of person who people have all my life, from the time I was about 9 years old, people have always come to me for help, whether it was just to talk, uh, seek some advice or some counseling. And over the years, I kind of grew up with the idea that I'm this strong person. Nobody can see me weak because that's not what they think of me. They're looking to me for help.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got in trouble when in my own situation, I didn't know what to do. And to be honest, I don't know why I didn't think of it myself, but I have to give her credit. A friend of mine said, why don't you write this down, what's going on? I know something is going on. You're not talking about it. So just write it down.
Mm.
And I did. And that's where the creativity comes in. Because after I wrote it, a few days later, for some reason, I picked it up and reread what I had written.
Mm-hmm.
And ideas started coming to my head of what I should do to remedy the situation I was in. And by the time I got through, I realized this could be turned into a book that could help someone else. And that's what I did. I turned it into a book and got it published on Amazon.com. And then that's when the journaling part came in because, and I still say God put that in my head because I was not thinking about journaling. I mean, who thinks about journaling as a way to make money or uh, improve themselves? And that was my thing, was you got to journal. You got to journal. It just kept going in my head. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this was something based on what had happened to me that I really needed to share with others. And the result was that I did start talking about it. I started investigating, learning about it. And the more I learned, the more convinced I became that everyone needed to, they just needed to know about this. They needed to experience this, the difference it can make. But it's not just creativity. There is so much more to journaling than I ever dreamed there was. Uh, we just talked about creativity, but there's gratitude, there's prayer, there's health and wellness, there's self-confidence. The list could go on probably for as many things as there are people on this earth. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I am passionate about journaling because I saw what it did for me. And if I could just take a quick moment to share, um, my son, when he was 5, starting kindergarten, I gave him a book called School Days. And like most parents, I forgot about it. He was the first one. Other kids came along and I wasn't thinking about it. My son went into the military and he was in a car accident 5 years after he had joined the military. And they sent me his personal effects. That book was in there.
Wow.
He had put little things in there over the years from kindergarten through the 12th grade and a few pictures from being in the military. What that book did for me is allowed me to be able to watch him grow all over again and see little thoughts that he had that he put in there, brought back memories of things that we shared together. So for me, it was a legacy. Um, it was something, a gift that he left behind for me. And that's what I want to see other people do. Leave something for your family. And who knows, not just your family. If you put it in a book, how many other people you might be able to help just by sharing some of the experiences you had and how you got out of them.
Wow. I'm so sorry about the loss of your son. I had no idea.
Mhm,
And yes, that proved to be a legacy for sure.
mhm.
But stepping back a little bit, Lawana, when you started writing, when you listened to the advice of your friend and you started documenting what was going on for you,
Mhm.
and eventually you saw how this helped you and you in turn turned that into a book, you were actually journaling without it being called formal journaling. Because as you
Mhm.
said, there's so many ways we can journal.
Mhm.
And for me personally, for years, I attended events and I would hear about the importance of journaling. And it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I started taking it seriously and I saw
Mhm.
the value. Because especially something like, say you mentioned confidence as an example,
Mhm.
and you're able to document how you feel in the moment. And then a
Mhm.
year later or 2 years later, as you acknowledge all those feelings and you improve them, of course, you have to seek to improve them and make the changes, and you're able to look back on where you came from. Then you can see how much you have improved. Because a lot of times we think we're still in that same place, but then if you have something to document it and you go back and look at it, then you recognize that there has been significant improvement. So there's tremendous value. And now you have added another level to it about leaving
Mhm.
it as a legacy for your family. That is amazing. That's wonderful. So you talked about your son. You talked about how it helped you first. How has this passion, this wonderful passion that you have, how have you been able to use it to impact the lives of others other than your first book?
Well, I have someone who I have started working with because I talked with actually the person reached out to me and they were going through some devastating depression mode, and I understood it, having gone through that myself. But this person, because of COVID, was experiencing some really rough time, and I just offered to work with her on journaling. I am happy to say that I have seen the difference from that first session when we sat down together to where she is now. She is back to being an active person. In fact, she's so um, busy now that sometimes she has to miss our sessions because she's doing other things. And the thing that touches me, because I truly love reading and writing, and she is in the process of putting together her story so that she can get it published. And I'm just really thrilled for her. But that's just one example of how I've helped an individual. Another would be someone who took on the responsibility of taking care of their mom and some of the things that they were going through. And being able to put that on paper has helped them. You're right. When you write it down and you can go back and look at it, there it does make a difference because you do think you're in the same place. There have been times in the past when I've written things down. Usually I throw it away, but once in a while something I'll find that I had written and I go, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I'm glad I'm not feeling that way now. So it
Mhm.
does make a difference because you think you're standing still, but you're not. You're growing and you're changing and new experiences are coming along. And this is a fabulous way to document that to help you to continue to grow.
Excellent. And would you also say that in actually putting it on paper, we're involving more of the senses, and it is creating an additional awareness of where we are right now?
Mhm.
Because it's very easy to gloss over things
Mhm.
and or just push them under the mat and you go, oh, it's just a phase in life. It will go by. It will come out in the wash or something like that. But when you actually document it, you're acknowledging that it is happening, whether it's happening to you, happening
Mhm.
for you, or happening whatever way. And as you acknowledge that and you write it down and you think about how can I change the trajectory? How can I make this better? Or do I need help to make this better? Would you also say to your clients that just journaling, putting it on paper makes you more aware of what's going on and make you more proactive in getting things resolved or changed if that's what needs to be done? What would you say to
I
that?
would totally agree with what you just said. It helps you to become more focused because, we have so much going on in our lives and we're just all over the place. But when
Mm.
you put this on paper, you get more focused, in tune with whatever it is that's going on in your life. You start to come up with ideas of how you can change your situations. You set little goals for yourself and you look back and say, okay, I moved on. I have found that if I write about a goal that I want and what I want, how I'm going to handle it, I do better than if I just write down a goal. I want to accomplish this by this time. It doesn't seem to have the same effect for me personally. It may be different from for someone else, but for me, putting it in that journal and then being able to see that I have actually moved on and what happened along the way helps me a great deal. And I don't want to scare people into thinking that they have to journal every single day because that's one of the things I think that scares people off. They think
Mhm.
I've got to sit down and write about what happened every day. I don't have time for this. Journaling for every person is going to be an individual thing. You can write every day if you want, if you feel that way. There's totally nothing wrong with that. But if it's once a week, 2 or 3 times a week, every 2 weeks, or even once a month, if that works for you, fine. Morning, noon, or night, fine. You set up the what works for you and you stick to it.
I think that is so freeing to a lot of people hearing this because that is one of the things that I have heard.
Mhm.
I've been told that no, journaling takes too much time. I don't have time to do this and that. Da, da, da. And I know for myself that this happened where I want to, my intention is to journal every night.
Mhm.
And I may end up going to bed very late and I didn't journal. And I know what I wanted to put, but I didn't put it down. Then the next night, I may remember to do it. So
Mhm.
it's something that has to become a habit. So I love what you just shared. It's very freeing to people if they want to do it once a week, once a month, if you know you'll remember. I don't know if I trust myself to remember everything that happens in a month.
Well, and that's the other part of it too. It doesn't have to be about everything that happened. Just
Hmm.
something that you feel is important to you that you need to put on paper so that you can reference it at a later time, whether it's
Yes.
because of some traumatic thing that happened or something super exciting that happened to you. It's up to you as to what you put down and how often you choose to write.
That is excellent. And I hope that our listeners, our viewers, will take this to heart that it's up to you. Nobody is going to police you and say, did you journal today? Did you journal last week as you're supposed to? It's you, whatever works for you, because ultimately you are the one who is going to get the benefit. So, Lawana, people want to experience more of your passion. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way is to email me um, at LaWanna at lawannaspeaks.com. You can also call me at 916-888-8089. Those are the two best ways at this point uh, to be able to reach out to me. Uh, I do want to share a quick secret with your
Oh, yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I'm going to let you share that secret. Just give me 1 minute. I want to make sure that everyone got the information. I want to repeat the telephone number,
Hmm.
916-888-8089, right?
Correct. Hmm.
And the email, which I will also be putting that in the chat for the replay, is Lawana, and it's two N's, LAWANNA at lawannaspeaks.com. Great. So now your secret, please.
Okay. Well, the secret here that I discovered is that you can write anything down in your journal. And you know what? It doesn't talk back. It doesn't get angry. It doesn't call you names and tell you about how stupid you are. It just accepts what you said, and nobody has to know about it but you and the journal.
I think that is a very, very good point. And if they even want to go a little step, I haven't seen any of those recently, but you remember when we were children, they had journals that you had a key
Hmm.
I don't know if those still exist, but hey, maybe there are still places you can get them. Maybe check Amazon, but you're so right. No,
Hmm.
when you put that on in a journal, nobody's going to criticize you. No one is going to say you're stupid. No one is going to say, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. So thank you for mentioning that as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Lawana, I appreciate your being here with us today. You have shared some wonderful points. You've shared the importance of putting your thoughts, especially things that are troubling you, or especially things you want to work on, putting them on paper, putting them on a journal. Track your progress, because if you don't, then you don't know. If you don't see where you were, you won't know how much you have progressed. And you'll
Hmm.
still think you're where you were when in fact you have improved, and sometimes you've actually changed. So thank you for highlighting those things. Thanks for being here. And the replay is going to be on Facebook, eventually on YouTube, and I'll be sharing it all over. Thank you, LaWanna. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. It has been a pleasure to be here with you.
You're very welcome.